Never smile at a crocodile. No, you can't get friendly with a crocodile. Wait, a crocodile locomotive? What's that? What does that even mean? Why are they called a Oh, I think I see why they call it a crocodile now. Interesting. These locomotives were a mainstay on mostly European railways for a while, starting in Switzerland. They're electric, as you might be able to tell from the pantographs, and they were tremendously successful. Even now, many a railfan refers to them lovingly as crocodiles. But how did we wind up with these unique-looking beasts? Well, we gotta ask the Swiss about their chocolate and cheese and neutrality. Also electric locomotives. The Swiss loved electrification, adored it. And the origin of the crocodile can be traced back to what was, in effect, its prototype, the SBB Ce 6/8-1, number 14201. She was one of 4 test locomotives that were ordered by the Swiss Federal Railways all the way back in June of 1917. All the locomotives in this particular batch were very unique, but are often considered sisters since they were part of the same order, but designed slightly differently to see which ones worked better. And 14201 was arguably the most successful. This was started because it was decided they were going to electrify the Gotthard Railway from Erstfeld to Biasca. Prior to that, they'd been using steam locomotives, as most railways did, but World War I had caused some coal shortages in Switzerland, and it was driving them a bit nuts. It caused many delays, because the steam locomotives needed the coal. But if they electrified the lines, that would help prevent this problem, with electrification being done in 1920. But that was great and all. You had the wires. You need the locomotives. So they ordered them rather quickly, putting forward several requirements. The weight per running meter had to be a maximum of 7 tons per meter, a maximum axle load of 18 tons, which would later be increased to 20 tons after they upgraded the lines. The ability to haul 430 tons up a 26% grade at 35 kilometers per hour, a reliable run-up with that load up a 26% grade, and acceleration to 35 kilometers per hour within 4 minutes, the ability to make 2 trips from Arth-Goldau to Chiasso and back again within just 28 hours, an electrical braking system for deceleration of the locomotive on slopes, and the ability to run at 20% overload for 15 minutes without actually taking any internal damage. She had 2 bogies, and used driving axle and a jack shaft in order to provide thrust. Her 2 motors were mounted in each of the bogie frames, and she used diamond-shaped pantographs. She started her scheduled services in December of 1919, but prior to that, they tested her extensively and found her quite capable, though there was room for improvement. She herself would not be coined as a crocodile, since she didn't really fit the exact bill, but her successor did, the SBB class Ce 6/8-2. These engines were of similar design, but their most striking difference was a much longer nose and tail, resulting in that crocodile-like appearance. But the name crocodile wasn't associated with them from the railways directly. That came about because of Marklin, a German toy manufacturer that you might be familiar with. They made a lot of model trains, and still do actually, and would produce both a gauge 1 and an O gauge toy of that particular engine. They started calling it a crocodile in their catalog of 1933 and 1934 due to the way the toys snaked through the curves like a reptile would. These engines, in real life as well as in toy form, were articulated, as the 2 powered nose units bridged with a pivoting center section. This design did 2 things. It gave the crew excellent visibility, but it also meant they could handle much tighter curves despite being very long locomotives. Eventually, everyone started just calling them crocodiles. The Swiss like the name, and these in particular are generally called the Swiss crocodiles, because crocodile doesn't necessarily mean just this particular engine. Usually it's what people mean, but for one thing, there was the SBB class BE 6/8, which was an upgraded version. 13 of them were given more powerful motors to become the BE 6/8-2, and then a further 18 of the CE 6/8-3s were upgraded in a similar way to become the BE/A3s. So, yeah. And also, Switzerland, your locomotive designations, I hate them. They're overly complicated. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I just want you to know that, but it's whatever. Anyway, combining the electrification with a very successful articulated design was incredibly effective. Thus, it was copied. Several narrow gauge lines used different versions of the Crocodile, and then there were other countries which copied it. Austria had a couple that were similar, the OBB 1089 and the OBB 1189, usually just called Austrian crocodiles. France had the CC 14000 and the CC 14100, but it's probably not accurate to call these two crocodiles. Sometimes they are because they are long and, well, green with the low noses, but they aren't articulated. And most people think that's kind of a requirement to being a proper crocodile design, so they halfway count. But Germany had the E93 and the E94. Those were articulated, and they're sometimes called German crocodiles, but other people like to call them alligators, because they had broader, shorter snouts like alligators do. India used some Swiss-built crocodiles, and Spain had a few crocodiles of their own, which they called cocodrilo, which is just Spanish for crocodile. So many reptiles rolling along the rails. Even the UK had one that was similar, the LNER Class ES1. But I bet you're wondering, just like with the Garretts, America, did we get down with the reptiles? Did we get some crocodilians running around here? And the short answer is no. Of course we didn't. What? This is an effective design? Oh, it's coming from a foreign country. Oh no, we already took the steam engines. We're not taking anything else. Okay, maybe we'll have the diesels too, because that's a German thing. But not this! We crossed the line at Switzerland! Anyway, let me enjoy this cheese. Yeah, we didn't really do the crocodile thing, but we did make articulated electric locomotives. They just weren't crocodiles. The two major examples would be the Milwaukee Road EP2s, also known as bipolars, as well as the absolutely legendary Pennsylvania Railroad GG1s. Both of these locomotives were articulated, but it wouldn't be accurate to call them crocodiles because neither of their noses were particularly low. But they were incredibly successful either way, proving that electrification in general is a pretty good idea. You don't have to worry about extensive fuel costs when you always have the power right there. True, you have to pay for the electricity, but historically speaking, it's generally found that hanging the wires is cheaper in the long run than, well, doing individually powered units. Did you hear what I said, guys? I said hanging the wires is usually effective in the long run. I said hanging the wires is usually effective in the long run. I said... I'm still not down with the battery thing. I don't think I'll ever be. When it comes to railways, it's the one element of transportation where I'm like, don't do friggin' batteries, just hang wires. It'll pay for itself in a few years. But no, you want your money right now, and lithium ion is all the rage. I get it. Also, no, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense at all. In any event, though... Oh, yeah, I should probably mention, these things served until 1982. They had tremendously long lives by locomotive standard. They were a phenomenal success. It cannot be possibly understated. Till next time, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a fun farewell.